T-E-R-E-M, Terem.
Hi folks, Scott from Terem here with my first video on building products and ventures. Today I'm going to talk about the 3 most popular design processes and when to use them. How did I pick the 3 most popular design processes? Well, I took a huge variety of design processes and I pumped them into Google search trends, and out came the top 3. The 3 most popular product design processes are design thinking, Google design sprints, and the double diamond. The key theme across these 3 design processes is that they have a huge focus on understanding the customer up front, really going into detail, empathizing with them, discovering how they work, how their world works, and then taking your designs and testing and validating those designs with them before going on and doing other things. And if you just have one takeaway from today, it's that they all come back to this central point. So let's talk about design thinking. Design thinking is taken as both a process and a way of working. We're going to treat it as a process today. So design thinking kind of achieved a bit of buzzword status when it was broadly taken up by corporates, enterprises, startups, everyone on how to build everything from new technology to machines to service design. And it's got merit for doing that. It really shifts people to understanding the problem and the end user and customer, which is important. When you're treating design thinking like a process, then the steps are empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. And you'll see the prototype and test comes through in the other 2 design processes that we're going to cover. But really what we're doing here is really trying to understand the user, their world, their emotions, what's going on, and then defining the problem that you're going to solve for them, coming up with ideas to solve it, and then putting some different ideas together that may solve that problem and testing them. And the important bit here is kind of the loop of understanding the user, coming up with different prototypes for them and putting something in front of them. Super important that you're testing it with actual users, the people are going to be using your product and not other stakeholders. And this is one of the great things about design thinking is this bit up here and the last bit, testing it with people. Again, touching base with your users and customers. I think for me, I've thought of design thinking not always just as a process, but as a way of thinking. So we're getting a bit meta about thinking here, but as a way of thinking where we're getting in touch with people, and that's fantastic. And almost just taking those ethos through is important in whatever you're doing product design-wise. I do see that it's been overused or become a bit of a buzzword to the point where people feel it's meaningless. I think in those instances, it's where design thinking isn't being applied properly, or it's being held up as a silver bullet, which it can't be. Now let's talk about one of my favorite product design processes, the Google Design Sprint. I love the Google Design Sprint because it's short, sharp, and focused. Over 1 week or 2 weeks, you take a problem, you work with your team, and you come up with new solutions to solving that problem. It's the short, sharp, focused nature that just has a way of bringing a team together and bringing about clarity for the next step or the ultimate solution in a way that most other processes and practices I've seen struggle with often. The steps in the Google Design Sprint are plan, map, sketch, decide, prototype, and then test. I always add another one in here, which is learn or distill insights. So let's go through them. Over the week, or the course of 2 weeks, on Monday you'll do mapping, Tuesday you'll do sketching, Wednesday deciding, Thursday prototyping, on Friday testing. Now, the reason why plan's up the top here is because with a Google Design Sprint, you need to prepare beforehand. You need to know who the customer is and what the problem vaguely that you're trying to solve. You need to have a bit of data, so you need your research done in advance. You need to make sure your stakeholders, your customers, whoever you need for your design sprint is going to be available, their calendars are booked, they're going to be in the room or available for workshops and research. Now, the thing that you'll see, which is similar to design thinking, is we've got the prototype and test. There's this real emphasis on taking things and showing them to people and getting learnings from that. And again, it's common to all of the design processes we're going to talk about today. It's so important. Now, at the end here, after you've finished all this, one of the key outputs of a Google Design Sprint is really about the learnings and lessons that the teams brought together about understanding the problem further, or more likely understanding how you're going to solve that problem. It's not necessarily a solution in itself. And I think that's something important here when you're managing expectations around the outputs of the Google Design Sprint are not always going to be something that's usable. It might just be learnings and insights. And this is probably one of the problems with the design sprint, is that the output often gets taken as, hey, can we deploy this now and start using it? Or, hey, when's this going to go live? Or, we're expecting something finished from this short, sharp piece of work. It's really important to set expectations. That's not the case. The key point of a design sprint is to bring clarity around the solution that you're going to take to a problem, or also to get a team aligned on what that solution might be. Really to bring insights and learnings out. So now that we've finished with the Google Design Sprint, let's move on to the Double Diamond. The Double Diamond is more of an end-to-end process for product design. It's not just about the design, but it runs right through to the delivery development of the product itself. Let's dig a bit more into the Double Diamond. The Double Diamond has widely been picked up by venture building firms. It was designed as a cross-discipline approach to design. So not just about tech products, but it came about when the Design Council in the UK looked at what do architects do, what do graphic designers do, and what's the commonalities between anyone applying a kind of approach to design for products or whatever it might be that they're designing. So the Double Diamond gets its name from the double diamond shape that's used to draw the Double Diamond process. With the Double Diamond, you start with discover, move on to define, develop, and then deliver. And I always kind of think of the way the shapes come about is discovery, you're kind of casting a wide net, opening up the diamond, and then define, you're narrowing the net in on how you're going to understand the problem or go about solving it. And then when you develop, you're kind of starting to open the net up again, because as you develop, you're going to learn more things. So you're developing, opening the net up again around the different things you're going to do. And then when you go to deliver, you're bringing the net in again, because once you deliver, what you've delivered is what it is. So the Double Diamond to me is super interesting because it covers, like I said, the end-to-end. So you can see right up here is discovery, and sometimes you may want to do Google Design Sprints in here, apply design thinking, same with define. You might want to do the same thing. You can kind of mix and match them together, but the idea is that in discovery, you're understanding the customer, casting it a wide, looking at different opportunities, trying to guide it. It's kind of like encouraging the look outside the box aspect of design. In define is where you're saying, hey, we've kind of found the set of problems or the problem that we think we need to solve and understood more about the nature of that. So we've got enough to start defining how we're going to go about solving it. It's where I guess you're designing your solution. Now, the next piece is where you've done enough definition to say, hey, we can go about developing something. So that's, starting to cut code, starting to ship things in whatever form they might be. And once we have that ready, we're going to go and set about delivering it to our customers or our users. What's important here, I think, is that even though this kind of phases are set out, is you can do it iteratively. You can run smaller diamond, like run the full end-to-end. You can run parts of it. I think you want to be pragmatic about what you're doing and where you're at. And I think the other important thing is just because you're in definition or just because you're doing development doesn't mean you stop talking to the end user. And this is where some of the overlap is, in that you want to bring some of the things from design thinking and some of the ethos there of like constantly prototyping, testing, and listening. So bring that in, but equally, I've seen that run people astray, where it gets to, we keep revisiting old ideas, and you want to kind of think, well, no, we've formed a hypothesis, and we need to go after our hypothesis of what the right design, the right solution is. Hey, so just to wrap up, we just covered the three most popular design processes: design thinking, the Google Design Sprint, and the Double Diamond. What's super important for me is that across all of them, there's a common theme: really understanding the user. Doing that up front, researching them, listening to them, empathizing with them, to borrow from design thinking, really understanding what they want, being in a process of discovery, as a Double Diamond would say. But taking this and then whatever you produce, taking it back to users and testing and validating it with them. This runs through all the design processes. So if you take anything away, it's to take these pieces out. But then when it comes to applying these three design processes, I think what's also important is to realize that you can mix and match them. You can mix and match them with Agile, you can mix and match them with waterfall processes. It's really about being pragmatic, taking the bits that are important, understanding why they're there, and also discarding the bits that aren't relevant for your situation. At the end of the day, you've got to make it work for you. So, look, thank you for being with me. Hopefully you got something out of today. Hopefully today was helpful. Happy designing, happy product designing. If you liked the video, please hit the thumbs up or subscribe so you can see more videos from me on product and venture building.